From a British man who claims to have fathered up to 800 children through sperm donation. 41-year-old Simon Watson is an online sperm donor. It's cheap, easy and completely unregulated. Private licensed clinics cost between £500 and £1,000 for every cycle of treatment. Simon Watson charges £50 for his services, which are legal but unlicensed.
I'd like to get the world record ever. Make sure no one's going to break it, get as many as possible. Usually about one a week pops out, so I reckon I've got about 800 or so far. So within about 4 years I'd like to crack 1,000 if I can.
Yeah, I just picked up the results from the hospital. I get tested every 3 months to show I've got no nasty things. I always post a copy on the internet so people can see it for themselves. My name's Simon Watson and I'm a sperm donor. If you go to a fertility clinic, there's loads of hurdles you've got to go through. They make people sit through counselling sessions and they make them go through huge amounts of tests and then charge them absolute fortunes for the service. But realistically, if you've got a private donor, you can just go and see them, meet them somewhere, get what you want and just go. That's it. It's all sorted. I'll charge them £50 and that's it for the magic potion pot. And then I'll give them a syringe with the pot and then leave them to it.
Most of the people I help out tend to be from Facebook. When people join the site, I see their name and I send them a message explaining about the service I provide. You know, because it's like an artificial insemination only, and I think they like the fact that I do that. I'm not going to try and get anything funny out of them, you know. Because I charge people for my service, then there's other people that would be happy to provide the service with no charge, but then they want a bit of fun out of the customers, you know. So I'm not knocking them. I mean, that's up to them, and some ladies are looking for that too, because some ladies are like lady couples, like the ones today. They're booked into this hotel. I won't know who they are unless they wanted to contact me later on. I don't plan to stop. I'd like to get the world record ever. Make sure no one's going to break it, get as many as possible. Usually about one a week pops out, so I reckon I've got about 800 or so far. So within about 4 years I'd like to crack 1,000.
Well, you can watch and share the full version of that film via the programme page bbc.co.uk/Victoria. The independent regulator of the UK fertility industry, the HFEA, is warning about the dangers of buying unregulated sperm online. They say it is better to go to a licensed clinic for safety reasons and for clarity over legal parenthood. So what are the risks of buying online? Well, we can speak to Simon Watson now, along with Laura Witchens, the Chief Executive of the National Gamete Donation Trust, and Peter Thompson, who is Chief Executive of the HFEA, the independent regulator of the UK fertility industry. Thank you all very much for coming in. Simon, first of all, we've seen your report. You reckon you've fathered 800 children?
It's difficult to tell the numbers really, but it's going to be somewhere around there.
How have you arrived at that figure?
I've been doing this for so many years now.
How many years?
About 16. So if you were to get the calculator and think, hang on, that doesn't work out, well...
Well, that's a baby a week, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I reckon I'm pumping out, really. Yeah, so. And
have you got... do you record all of the babies?
Well, a lot of people I help out. I always write down who I've helped out and when. So I've always done that. But a lot of people choose to be anonymous and might just come and just say their names such and such, and they meet me at a certain hotel and disappear.
But do you record every time a baby is born?
when I hear about them, then I do. But then a lot of times, what I want to do is, like my boy, when people start contacting me later on, because you never know as time goes on, people say, "Oh, I had a kid with you 3 years ago," so I don't always hear straight away.
So 800 is a guess. It could be more, it could be less.
Yes, so it's going to be thereabouts. It's going to be something that I won't know for about another 15 years or so, I should think, by the time children start coming through. And, you know, when they start coming of age and saying, oh, they might be wanting to go on the family tree.
Is it a numbers game for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting the world record, to say the least. You know, so,
why?
I think it's just one of those things. I always wanted to have more than 2 children. That was why I started doing it back in 99. But then it sort of snowballed when the internet started. And like at the moment, now the internet's going a bit crazy with how many people are asking me from all over the place.
You say it's just one of those things. These are living, breathing children out there, and you're dad to all of them.
Yeah, but at least they know that I wanted them, and I'm never going to go and poke my nose in where it's not wanted. But if they ever want to talk to me, they can. You know, when they get older, they might think, OK, let's have get-togethers. So I thought I'd organise like big barbecue parties all over the place. There's certain people around the country that said, yeah, they'd do one in like Derbyshire, one in Portsmouth.
But when you say you wanted them, you're the father to them,
yeah.
the biological father,
yeah.
But you've got no responsibility for them.
No, but at least then I'm not anonymous. And if they think, oh, I want to know who my dad is, at least I'll organise meetings, and it'll be quite informal, like a big barbecue, and everyone can get to see their brothers and sisters, so it won't be sort of uncomfortable in that way.
Do you think it's responsible to be fathering so many children?
Yeah, I think so, because might as well, because there's nothing wrong with me, so might as well be someone that hasn't got any genetic faults or any hereditary diseases. Might as well have someone like that helping you, and someone that you're going to be able to get a hold of in future if you want to have more children. Because some people say they've had donors in the past that say they're not donating anymore. That's never going to happen for me.
You're not obliged to have screening, are you, because you're unlicensed?
No, but what I do though, I do get tested every 3 to 6 months, and I've got all the records.
So what do you get tested for?
There's AIDS, gonorrhea. There's I don't really understand the HIV antibodies 1 and 2 or something. There's gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia. What's the other one? Oh, hepatitis B and hepatitis C. And the good thing is they can listen back if people wanted to all the test results back to beginning of January 2009. Just know I've been clean all the way back. And that was when the tests started on the telephone results hotline. So they can listen to that all the way back if they want. So they know I've been clean continually.
So a full record on sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah, so it's
what about
nasty.
Your genetic makeup? Have you had genetic screening?
Well, I know I haven't got the cystic fibrosis gene.
How do you know that?
I had a test before, yeah. So then 1/4 of the British population has got that. It's not a problem unless both people have it. It's a bit of an unknown thing, that one.
Well, what about screening for other genetic diseases?
I haven't got anything nasty at all. So
what screening have you had?
Oh dear, I'm not too sure, because I got tested by I used to work at a sperm bank years ago, and then they got me tested for all the things that they test for, but I can't remember the names of them.
So, but can you guarantee to a woman coming to you that you have no genetic diseases that you don't know of? Because obviously there are 800 children out there, you reckon.
Oh, yeah.
So they could be carrying genetic disease unknown to you.
I was good enough for a sperm bank, and I'd be happy if someone said to me, "Oh, can you do a test?" I'd say, "Yeah, do a test," and I'd let the results even go back to their house, so they know I'm not going to be, looking through tests. I'd say, "OK, get me tested if you want, and get the results back to your place." So I wouldn't have a problem with someone doing a test on me. I'm quite open about it.
You talked about the lack of regulation around the way that you do it, and the fact that you are very happy to hear from any of the children who you have fathered in this way. Do you worry about the mothers coming knocking on your door? Because there's nothing to stop any of them coming to you and making a financial claim. Yeah,
I suppose, but there again, I've had 2 ex-wives that have not done too badly at me, and then...
Yeah, but 800 potentially knocking on your door.
Yeah, but realistically, there'll be a big queue outside, and they'll have to have a good share out, wouldn't they? So...
But they've got the right to do it.
Yeah, they can. That's the problem. I think it's more of a risk if someone wants to start being a private donor, and then says they want to have a couple of kids here and there. That'd be an easier target. If they're a professional person, that way they can just get their 30% taken straight out of the bank account then. But in my case, it'd be more difficult. Carving up 800 ways would be a bit of a pittance, really, wouldn't it?
It's interesting the way you talk about the numbers, saying usually one baby pops out every week, you'd like to crack 1,000. We saw you beating your chest in the report earlier. Is this some sort of macho thing?
I don't know, really. I might as well keep going. I don't see what's wrong with it. If it was an animal, we'd say, oh, well, that animal's quite successful. They've managed to have loads of children. But people don't really see it in that way, do we? We say we're quite happy to have 1, 2, 3 children, and that's it. But I think, well, nothing wrong with having them all over the place. But some people have said, oh, is it dangerous to have so many, the risk of them interbreeding? And you think, hang on, there's 70 million people in England. And all my kids, the last 10 people I helped out last year, out the last 14 people, 10 of them were from outside England. So spread out anyway.
But on that, I mean, it is a real question, isn't it? The risk of half-siblings meeting each other down the line and not having a clue.
Yeah, but to give an example, out of couples that help, say, for example, 90% of the couples I help are lesbian couples. They're pretty much all going to tell the children who I am, very likely. But in a clinic, I think only about 65% of the people helped in clinics don't tell the children that they're even donor conceived. So realistically, the other way of looking at it is this. If you had 2 fields to walk across and one had 800 mains and you knew where they were, and the other one had 2 hidden mains, which one would you cross? You know, the way I look at it is my child's done the family tree, and later on, as people want to get added to it, we can pop them on it. That's sort of a massive task. We can have 2 family trees on the go. One that people can see, like with an online access code, people that are on it, and another one just for ourselves, that will also have the heterosexual couples that maybe don't want to go public. So I can just keep that, so then no one's going to ever see that except me and my son, and my daughters, you know.
Let's bring in Peter and Laura. Peter Thompson, HFEA. How do you see what Simon is doing?
Well, I think viewers will judge Simon's motivations. The 3 things I'd really like to say today to anybody who's thinking about being a donor or using donated gametes is to think about 3 things. That's protection, peace of mind, and preparation of care. If you use a licensed clinic, you can be assured that the sperm that's donated has been screened for the kind of diseases that Simon's talking about. If you use a licensed clinic, you can have peace of mind over the kind of legal uncertainties involved. As Simon sort of acknowledged, these are private arrangements. It's quite possible he could be financially liable, whether or not he's the actual the legal father of the child. And if you use a licensed clinic, that clinic will prepare both the patients and the donors for what's involved. This is a serious matter. It's not a numbers game. And clinics will talk through about the nature of commitment that donation involves. These days, anonymity has gone, so at the age of 18, a child can find out certain information about the person who was their donor. This is a serious matter, and I think what we've seen today is, frankly, a trivialising of donation, children and families.
Laura, which ends
I don't even know where to start, how wrong this is on various different levels. The elephant in the room are the children, and the sector we work in, creating families, is full of lovey-dovey language about helping, altruistic, and we have pictures of lovely-looking babies and pregnancy strips. But if we strip it down to its bare, we have a man who, for whatever the reason is, feel that his superior genes, because he doesn't think that his genes are average, otherwise he wouldn't be doing this, is worth spreading to across the planet without any consideration of the children. So it's not just about who they unintentionally marry. We have enough social evidence, enough social data to know that people struggle with knowing that they have half-siblings. 10 is already a huge number, and to have hundreds, I think you're immensely naive to think that we have these lovely barbecues. So the women who allow these practices ultimately, they are faced with 2 choices. Either they tell that Simon is the father, and they burden their children with knowing that they have 800, 900, 1,000 half-siblings, who they sit in the train. It's not a matter of will I marry them. You have somebody in the train who's got the same distinct features, and you think, could that be one of them? Or You don't burden your child with knowing that they've got 800, 900 siblings, and they will never know who their genetic father is. And that's the other thing. I mean, he talks about, I'm not their father. Well, actually, probably legally you are. In most cases, legally you are. And this is not about the parenthood per se. It's just that the big elephant, and for the women as well, I mean, Simon can only do this because there are people out there who use him, who for whatever reason feel it's easier to justify that. They think that the £50, they think that the £1,000 it costs in the clinic is like an optional luxury. But this is not the seat warmers of the cars. The security are the seat belts of the cars. They're there to put in place to protect people and the children who turn into adults with questions. And that I find astounding.
I want you to respond specifically, actually, Simon, to that point. Have you considered the impact on a child if they are told that you're their father and they're sitting wherever they are, they're thinking, gosh, is that potentially one of my 800 or so siblings?
Yeah, but the thing is, we're all going to be known. It's not going to be like there's unknown children all over the place.
But people don't announce who their father is when they're sitting on a train opposite someone or whatever it was, wherever it is. If they're looking at somebody and seeing a resemblance, it might be in their mind.
Might be a conversation starting point, and yeah, you could say that about anyone, really. And the other thing is about it being affordable.
If you know that if you're being told by your parents, and I think you underestimate just how many parents tell. They will tell at the time because they think it's lovey-dovey, but there comes a point that they realise, hold on a minute, I need to tell my child that he has 800, 900 siblings. Maybe I withhold this information. So what they will, but if they do tell, they have this knowledge that they have 800 or 900 half-siblings. I think you are completely underestimating the impact. Try imagining, everybody having been told you've got 800, 900 half-siblings. You don't have to buy Christmas presents for them. Just knowing that you have that many out there who share half of your genes is a huge burden, which we cannot and shouldn't underestimate.
The HFEA limits it to what, 10 families?
So I suppose potentially if you took 3 per family, that might be 30 half-siblings. And we set that level because there's good evidence out there, and Laura is absolutely right, that in social and psychological terms, having, if you like, that number of half-siblings seems about the maximum number that people can reasonably deal with. I think the idea of somebody having 800 half-siblings is just extraordinary. I imagine most viewers would think that.
Is this making you think again?
No, not at all. I think the experience I've got, everyone's well happy with it. You know, the thought of having that many. My boy thinks it's brilliant, and my girl likes it. She's seen some of the half-sisters, and we don't really call them half-sisters, we call them brothers and sisters, but...
How many have you met, and how old are the oldest?
Oh, jeez. I've met quite a few, but not a huge amount, because I don't really
there might be some 16-year-olds out there if it's going back 16 years.
Oh, yes,
quite a few 16-year-olds.
So I'm going to have to start kicking off these barbecue party ideas quite soon, you know, so...
Nick on email, I think what Simon does is a special life-giving thing. Thanks to him, me and my girlfriend have a beautiful little boy. Lesbian couples don't get the help or support from the NHS, and to do it privately it costs thousands of pounds. Anthony on text, good on him, making what is prohibitively expensive for many couples to do via the regulated process. It is expensive to go down the other routes. It's
a lot of money is more than private. It's not expensive. This is security you buy for yourself and for your child. If something like this, if you find £1,000 expensive, over the course of a lifetime of a person, you actually have to judge yourself to be, if you're fit as a parent. We're not talking seat warmers here. We're not talking an optional extra. We are talking about the safety for yourself, knowing that you have got... I mean, if Simon says there's nothing wrong with me, well, to be perfectly honest, I dispute that. I utterly dispute that.
Well, I think the numbers judge them. You know, you can judge by the numbers. I think a lot of people might not appeal to everybody, but you know.
No, well, I'm not disputing your qualities as but there is a reason why there's an age limit as well for the donors, because over 40 there is significant evidence to show that man in general, the quality of the sperm has an increased risk of illnesses.
So 40 is the cut-off.
40 is the cut-off, and there is a reason for that.
41.
So if it goes on for 4 years, especially with these numbers, there's an increased risk of children with mainly psychiatric illnesses, which manifest later on in life. And I'm not sure whether you know, but there is
a lot
a
of
reason.
people have dads conceived naturally who are older.
But it's different. It's different if it's your own child and you take it into consideration, or if you take on that burden. If you have a choice between one donor or another, and especially with these numbers, if it goes for 100 children rather than 1 or 2, and as in normal circumstances.
Karen on Twitter, a sperm donor does not make a father. He is a donor, not a dad. Anyone who donates thinking otherwise shouldn't be donating. Stu on Twitter, he's been hammered for trying to help desperate adults. He's hardly cashing in big time. You've said you want to hit 1,000.
Yeah. I keep going. I'm not going to stop.
You'll keep going?
Yeah, I'll just keep going anyway. No reason to stop. As long as people want me, I'll still carry on, you know.
Until when?
Until people don't want it anymore. You know, but I know other people.
In your 60s?
I'll give you an example. I know there's a man in Australia, and he's a successful donor, and he's ageing, and he's really doing a good job. So I don't see the reason why you should stop. I know some other people in England that are around 60 odd and still donating, and they haven't had problems with their children. So, and the people are happy to use them and coming back for more children. So I think to myself, well, ages with ladies, it seems to be a worse problem when they start getting over 40. Then they have more likely to have a miscarriage and a baby. But for men, I don't know. There's also evidence they have more intelligent children. So it's a bit, you know, difficult to say at what age should you stop.
This is not a numbers game. I mean, there's important issues of public health at stake here. I think if anybody is at all interested in becoming a donor or using donated gametes, I think they need to get good advice. I would really urge people to go to our website. That's www.hfea.gov.uk. If you search under life cycle, you'll find a whole series of leaflets talking about the legal ramifications, the screening requirements and the like. These are serious matters and people should look at them seriously.
Natalie on email, Simon helped me. Do you know who said this one? It's someone called Natalie. You helped her anyway. Right. A lot of your comments are unfair, she says. This man helps couples who can't afford private clinics and don't get offered IVF because they're in same-sex relationships. Any responsible parent will take all facts, i.e. interbreeding, into consideration. As a parent to a healthy, happy 1-year-old conceived via a sperm donor, I can honestly say I will never go to him for money, as what he is giving us is priceless. Thank you all very much. Thank you for speaking so honestly, and both of you as well for sharing your